As we await those earnings reports, BD8 Capital Partners founder and CEO Barbara Doran and senior markets commentator Mike Santoli. Barb, first, eerie, weird kind of setup to earnings with Netflix down so much, like 10% today on, blame Brazil. A little odd, but what should investors watch for, particularly when it comes to Tesla, perhaps another one that's been hot reaction-wise, to gauge how the market's feeling?
Well, I think the Netflix, drawdown is really reflective of what's happening in the market right now. The market is at a PE and a forward earnings of about 23. And you saw 10 days ago when you had the threat of 100% tariff on China, market had a big swoon. And then last week it recovered until we then had some concerns about two small regional banks and some loan issues, which turn out not to be much of an issue. So I think the market is a little bit nervous given the high valuation. And so when you have something like Netflix, which really seems to be a one-off, one-time thing with the Brazilian tax situation, where if they hadn't had that, their operating margins would have been higher than even the street expects. So I think there's just nervousness and an excuse to take profits in general. So I think you look at what happened with Intuitive Surgical. They reported better than expected, and the stock exploded on the upside. So I think it's really stock specific, but I think we're going to continue to see volatility because of the high valuations.
I'll mention Tesla results have just crossed. We are going through them. Mike, what characterizes this market? A little slight move there on Tesla, initially down about 1.5%. What characterizes this market where we've seen low volatility, relatively speaking, but occasional spikes?
Low volatility up until October 10th. That was when we had the 2.7% drop in the S&P 500 that really did break this sort of rotational, harmonious, low volatility climb. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily spill lower from here. What it does mean is it's just a little bit less of a reliable in-gear tape. And I think we saw that today. Essentially, things that seem to have overshot to the upside, the highest momentum, most volatile stuff, just gets purged.